start like that tonight. We're not doing it like that.
Sure we can. Why can't we?
No, we're not doing that like that tonight. We're going to behave a little bit tonight.
Being Have?
Okay. Yeah, we're going to try it.
I'm not.
Let's see what happens. We can try it once, man. Come on.
Sure.
We
Let's
did.
do it.
Come on.
Back in 1985.
What's going on, Tessa? What, 1995 or 85?
85.
85. Were you even born then, you young fucker?
No, we didn't say 1885, Jay.
Right. That was when old Jay here was still riding his fucking horses to school.
Mm-hmm.
Horses? It was dinosaurs, bitch. I have you to know, man. I was playing some Fortnite a little while ago, and I was playing with your son-in-law and your daughter.
Were you?
Yeah. Yeah.
Did you win in it?
No.
Weird.
No. Listen to you. I've won before.
Yeah.
I've won before. We got him in there. I see our guest in the back corner. He can hear us, but he can't say nothing right at the moment. We bring him on screen whenever Jason's ready, because the prez is in charge.
Never in charge.
That's not what I heard.
Nope.
I've heard that he's in charge. We just don't usually pay attention to him.
Right? I wouldn't pay attention to me.
He don't pay us enough to listen.
I don't get paid enough to be the boss.
So, Joe, how was your weekend, man? How was Baraboo Inn's St. Patrick's Day thing?
You know what? It wasn't bad. It was not bad.
That food looked amazing.
The food was a big hit. People loved the pretzel platters. The Reuben dip was a big hit. So yeah, I mean, it had a great crowd. Bar made quite a bit of money. I mean, yeah, it was a good kind of first hoorah back into the mix. And so we've already got stuff planned for this weekend. We're going to start featuring because we really don't have a menu yet. So was talking with Shelly yesterday. And so every month we're going to feature a new sandwich. Right. And just to judge how it goes, if it's good, it's going to stay on the menu. The following month, we're going to feature something new. So this weekend and through the month of April, if you guys come out to Old Baraboo Inn, you will have access to an Italian beef sandwich that I'm going to make. Italian beef, onions, grilled onions, cheese, the whole 9 yards. I'm actually looking at possibly making my own kettle chips there to go along with sandwiches, and so. Yep.
Look at you. Oh yeah.
Probably homemaker next.
It'll be on an episode of Hell's Kitchen before you know it.
You'll put Chef Ramsay through hell's what he'll do.
All right.
Now I couldn't be on something like that.
Sure you could.
Oh, no. I couldn't be on that, and I couldn't be on what's that, Bar Rescue? No.
Sure you could.
Oh no, only once. I promise you, I will go to jail. That is a 100% guarantee.
We gotta make this happen now. I want to see him go to jail.
That's right.
What's going on, Devin? Jason, how was your weekend, man? You good? Any fun, exciting things happening?
Brother, just plugging away, man. Plugging away. Man, one day at a time.
I didn't do shit either. But I got a 3-day weekend coming up, not this weekend, but the following weekend, because I forgot that I get Good Friday off with pay. So, damn.
There you go. I know we got a public investigation at the Collingwood at the end of the month, and that's been sold out. So
nice.
I'll be doing that. And leaving this weekend.
Where are you going now?
Going to Traverse City. I'm taking the wife. We're going with a couple people. Going to Traverse City.
Movie stars going ahead on us.
Yeah. Wish I could live that life.
I'm telling you right now, my beautiful wife has been such a just an amazing person that I need to take her. We need to get away. We need to go do something. So
she needs to get away.
Yeah. Well,
and take you for this time.
Right. Right. So yeah.
Oh, man, good deal.
Friday morning, come back Sunday. Just a little trip with some friends here, and it'd be nice. It's off
Nice.
season, so it's not going to be crowded. Going to do the wineries, and
What's going on, Dan?
so
So
hell yeah.
now, I know that you brought somebody along with you tonight. Who'd you bring along tonight?
Who do we have on? You know, this is a longtime listener, first time caller.
One star extraordinaire.
Right. We've all known him forever. He's been a great friend of mine. I call him a brother. I know that you guys have known him for a long time. He was involved in been involved in the paranormal for a long time. I think he kind of shifted out of that. I'm from what I understand, he kind of wants to get back in it a little bit. Got 35 plus years running his own DJ company. He's done DJ shit for Scarefest. I mean, just a ton of conventions, weddings, you name it. Hell, he's an ordained minister. He's a demonologist. He's the fucking list would go on. And I mean, we don't have enough time.
Why don't we just bring him in?
Well, let's just bring him in.
There he is.
What's up?
There, dude.
Look at that.
Look
Sure,
at
man.
that man.
Man, I'm sporting my Ghostbusters gear, dude. I'm ready
No
for the
shit,
movie.
I can see that. You got sporting your Ghostbusters gear. You got people calling how sexy you are in the chat when Jason.
I know.
What's up with that?
Yeah, we never get that kind of attention.
No, my sister usually doesn't talk like that either, and she was all about it. So
Man, we don't get that kind of compliments ever.
Right. I was like, wait a minute, is she talking about me, Ginger,
right?
or Bigfoot Ginger? I had to.
It wasn't this one, man. I went bald and gray. You can't tell I was ever a ginger.
I know, right?
I'm innocent.
What's going on, brother? How you been?
I'm doing good, man. Doing good. Just living the dream. I'm just not sure whose dream I'm leaving yet, but
Right.
I'm living somebody's dream. No, doing good, man. Doing really good. One correction that I need to make is I left the commercial side of paranormal, but I still kept doing the private side of it, private cases and stuff like that. And the reason why was because it was getting stupid. It really was. It was about what show you were on or couldn't be on, and I mean, it was just like, God, there's more to this than shows. I'm sorry, but there is. And it just the backstabbing and it just the drama, period. And I hate drama. I hate it with a passion. So I quietly just backed out. I didn't do any, like, oh, I'm leaving and, things have been great, blah, blah, blah. I just kind of weeded myself out a little bit, but I'm in contact with a lot of people still, you guys, obviously. And I do private cases and handle that more so. I just went out of the public arena for a while is what I did. And I just felt it was time to kind of walk away and start concentrating more on my company and sit back and watch the drama unfold instead of being stuck in the middle.
It sure the hell did too, didn't it?
You mean, what do you mean there's drama in the paranormal?
Right, exactly. It's the same thing, different generation. It's like it's like you just swoop them through, and it's a revolving door. And the bad thing about it is though, this new generation is they're entitled. So they feel that you should give them everything. They don't have to work for it. They don't have to do the hours of editing and the what goes on behind the scenes after you do the investigation. They want to be about the investigation, but then that's it. That's all they want to do. Well, I'm sorry, it takes a team effort to make this happen. And if that's listening for 8 hours of audio, you times 4 recorders, that's what you do. And it just seemed like it was just going in a direction I didn't want to be around at that moment.
I did the same thing at one point. I think
we all do, really, to be the ones, the old heads that have been doing it for a long time.
Not yet.
No, not you.
I did. I backed away just pretty much the same reason. It was just all the crap that was going on, and
right.
And then
Well,
these guys got me back, and then it's like I come back, and it's like, oh look, it's the same shit. Just like you said, just a new generation.
Right.
Yeah, I think it has to do with more of who you surround yourself with, because
Oh yeah.
when we
obviously.
had Lake Erie Paranormal and doing all that, I took the team away from the residentials because I found that the residentials turned into more of a fucking episode of Ghost Adventures or
All
Ghost
good
Hunters
pony
Right.
shit.
and
Right.
somebody's living room. You got
Right.
aunts and uncles and popcorn and snacks and let's
Oh yeah.
just
Oh,
watch this ghost. That's not,
Yeah.
I'm taking time off. I'm leaving my house. I'm leaving my family. The
Right.
team's leaving their family. We're driving 2 hours on our dime to come and try to get you answers. And the only thing you want to do is see how all the equipment works. So we
Right.
stepped
You
away
wanna-
from that.
You want to invite your whole family over.
Right.
Yeah.
And just started
You
doing
know.
more with like a core group like you guys and just doing our own thing and start trying to get answers that I have, that we had, that you guys have,
Right.
and that's what we've been doing for the longest time. But yeah, you're right. I mean, you were privy to be on some of the shows. I was never, and so a lot of people don't understand that part of it. But when you start getting that tag, when you start getting that kind of shit, then I mean, it does. It happens, and it's what episode were you on? Well, we can bring you in. Oh, you're an expert now because you were here, or you were there, and it just loses.
I gotta mute my mic.
It just it loses all the shit.
Yeah.
It just does.
I
It
can't
does.
every time I hear that word expert, I'll just start laughing.
Yeah.
Well, too, and then being a part of Scarefest, I worked with a lot of these A celebrities, as they refer to them as. That was a word I could never grasp. People, oh, you're a celebrity. No, I'm not. I'm just a guy here that's trying to make sure people know what they're doing so they don't bring something home and, they end up going through a horrible divorce because what it is, breaks up your family. And, that was the side about it was these people would go in and do these investigations, had no clue what they were doing. They were provoking, they were doing all this craziness. And then they got to leave and go home and sleep fine in their bed that night while the family was stuck dealing with what they had just stirred up. And, that's kind of where I started focusing, was going in and basically cleaning up these wannabes or whatever you want to call them mess, basically. Where they would just come in and they thought they were filming a show of Ghost Hunters or whatever, and monkey see, monkey do, and nobody was really understanding what the consequences of that could be down the road. I got into demonology because it fell in my lap. It was a case that, if people don't know, it's crazy. I was thinking today how long ago that case had been. So in 2008, when Paranormal State dropped our case of IM6, and it just blew up, and because it was the first time a show had done something around somebody being possessed, and it caused a lot of drama outside of that, because when you start dealing with evil and nasty stuff, man, that's a whole new world, and you can't believe in God, not believe in the devil. I mean, there's just no way. I mean, it's yin and yang, and you get into these places and you start acting a fool, you're opening up some doors that could potentially hurt somebody. It cost me my family. It cost me my divorce. There was a point where I was so depressed and so just overwhelmed with the evilness that had just attached itself to me, that I was watching my life fall apart in front of me, and there was nothing I could do about it. And that's really the first time I've ever shared that. And I'm sitting here thinking about it. That was a big reason why I pulled back, because I was losing everybody in my life. And, of course, I talked to Bishop Long, and, oh my gosh, I'm horrible with names. But anyway, and just said, this is what's going on. My children were starting to be attacked by an unforeseen dark force at night in their beds. And so it was time to back away. It just was, and refocus, and did some soul searching, if you will, and got right with God again, and things are great. But there's a point there that people don't realize, that there are things as called attachments. There are things, with the IM6 case, we dealt with the demon that represents itself as Legion, and Legion is many. So it's not just one. It's like you defeat one, and then there's another one right behind that one, and it's a cycle. And I always said, when I do it big, and but it did. You know, it's not all fun and games. It's not about being on a TV show. It's about realizing what you're doing and what you're getting into.
Oh,
Sorry,
I
I'll get off
agree.
my soapbox.
I'm just lucky that I've never come across anything even to me even malevolent. I've had some
Right.
crap
Oh yeah. Right.
spirits,
Yeah. I mean, look at
and
Patty Starr. I mean, Patty Starr is one of the pioneers of ghost hunting, and she has never ran across anything malevolent or bad. And I'm glad no, you guys have not, because when you do, it's not a matter of just shaking it off and going on to the next.
Can
There's a lot there.
I
can
mean,
we can we can we
not
piece
bad.
together? Can we talk about the case for a minute, or do you feel comfortable talking about it?
Oh yeah. I don't
Because
have no problem
I want
talking
to
about it.
know I want to know, at what point did you figure out, or whoever was with you figure out that
What up, Lee?
you were dealing with
Lee Allen, what's up, Lee?
something that was evil or demonic or whatever? Like what
Oh,
turning
right, yeah.
point of the
But
case was
I
that
got you.
about?
I got what you're saying. So yeah, because when we went there, we originally thought this was just now this happened in Quincy, Illinois, which is about 7 hours from Kentucky. At the time I was living in Louisville, Kentucky, and at that time I was also doing a lot with Waverly Hills, so that probably didn't help the situation any. So they had reached out to TAPS, they had reached out to several people, and nobody would help them. And I don't, and I guess when you kind of go back and look at the case, it did kind of sound a little kooky, some of the things that they were saying. And, if you've never seen that or dealt with that, and like I said, it hadn't been on TV yet at that time, other than the movie The Exorcist or, something like that, but nothing real life in somebody's home. And in a while at least. And, but we thought it was just a haunting, that there was something going on there. And we got there, and the first night we got there later than we were supposed to. The day we went, we planned on getting there a lot earlier, but the weather, and that's the funny thing too about this case, it was real crazy because we were supposed to go, and then this mad storm came out of nowhere, snowstorm came out of nowhere, and we couldn't go that weekend. And so then back then you're just like, oh, it's just the weather. But then when you start looking, it 3 times we tried to go help this family, and the weather each time came out of nowhere, caused these big snowstorms, closed the interstates down, so you couldn't drive up there in Illinois, because like I said, that's where it was. So finally they were predicting weather again that was going to be bad, and I finally told the team, I was like, I'm going. If y'all want to come with me, come with me. But this family they're dealing with some nasty stuff. Something's not right. I got to figure it out. Are they crazy, or is there really something going on here? And so our first night there, so we get there, we meet the family. The first thing I notice is there's glasses of water everywhere. And I'm thinking of the movie Signs with Mel Gibson, where he lives on the farm and stuff. So I'm like, okay, what's going on here? Well, time to find out, those glasses were holy water, and they had them in every room. So when something would attack them, they would grab the holy water and just start sprinkling it on her, on the girl, on Laura. And so that was kind of an eye-opening thing. They were very religious. The church had just started getting involved with the case and what was going on there, the Catholic Church. And so everything seemed fine at first, and then we got everything set up, and I was in the kitchen watching the cameras, and in the living room we had our I don't know what you want to call her, but I mean, she used to work for some major networks and stuff. So we knew she was good at questioning people and getting information and stuff out of them. So while they were in there, we caught something on the camera. It appeared to be a black mass that went across the camera. Now, things you got to realize, the stories they were telling us at this point was that she had been drugged down into, they had a bathroom right outside the kitchen, and then there was a laundry chute in the floor in that bathroom, so you could just throw your laundry down, went right down, and they had a basket at the bottom. This thing sucked her down into this thing. So that was one episode. Another episode was they would hear growling. She at one point crab walked across the floor, and her eyes were rolled back in her head, and so there was some stuff going on there, but we didn't know anything. You still go in with an open mind and be skeptic. Well, then we're starting. So that was all that kind of we thought happened that night. Like it was not much activity. But right before we had decided to go ahead and stop and start cleaning up, they had a cat and it ran down in the basement and she went down after it. Of course, we weren't thinking nothing. The lights were on upstairs at this point. Like I said, I was sitting there still watching, had the camera still on, and I was starting to, gather some of the cords and stuff. And I watched her fully go up and levitate like this and slam down to the ground. It was just like something just picked her up and slammed her to the ground. So I take off running down the basement. I holler and go, "Oh my God." And I take off running down the stairs where everybody comes behind me. Sure enough, she's there. She can't breathe. It literally knocked the breath out of her. That's how hard it slammed her to the floor. So that was kind of the first eye opener that there was something here. Well, so we clean up. She's okay. She's fine. She gets her composure and stuff. And then on our way home, some of the investigators started listening to their digital recorders to see if they caught anything. Well, 5 minutes in, Stacy was who did the interview with her. 5 minutes in, the first EVP she gets is Class A, and it said, "The B is mine. You will never have her." Plain as day. I got cold chills. I mean, just saying that, and it just from that point on, EVP after EVP, we knew at that point something was going on. I had gotten in touch with Father Andrew Calder at the time. God rest his soul, he's no longer with us, but he was going to come and help with it. He was going to be the priest. Well, at this time, we had been in contact with Ryan and them. I had met them at an event, and I was sharing with them what I was going through, because at the time they were kind of messing with those cases at the time, and TAPS really wasn't. They were kind of staying away because we were a TAPS family too, and that's the other reason why we got the case, because it got referred to us. We were the closest TAPS family at the time to them. So on the way home, it was just like EVP after EVP, and then we caught the black mass several times on camera. So we knew at that point this was legit. This wasn't just a regular haunting.
So you actually saw that on the actually watched her be picked up.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. It was
Man,
like
see,
somebody put their hand on her back and on her chest and just picked her up and slammed her to the ground.
I've never seen anything like that. Wow.
Right, yeah. And
I've asked for it.
What's that? You've asked for it?
Yeah. And of course, I don't even know how I would react if I did see something like that. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
I always tell people, be careful what you ask for.
Yep.
I know exactly what I do. Shit,
because God knows I wasn't asking for it, but it got dropped in my lap, and it was just a matter of, you had a mom and a dad, and you could just see it in their eyes. They had not gotten sleep. They had been dealing with this for a while, and they were at their wits' ends in a sense. And
Wow.
Ryan and Paranormal State crew decided they wanted to be a part of it, so they allowed us to still be a part of it. And because of, you got to realize, this also was their first 1 hour episode on that show. It had always been just 30-minute shows. Well, this was their first 1 hour. It aired October 2008. It was called I Am Six, and that was because that's what the demon referred to itself as. And we knew what that meant. I am six, I am many, which is Legion. We were able to tie all that together. There was other things too that it came out. And so on TV, you only got to see a piece of it. You only got to see a piece of the exorcism that was Father Andrew Calder did on her. Before that, it was a sunny day. It was like 70 degrees outside, and all of a sudden the sky turned black. I mean, it was like something straight out of the movie Ghostbusters. As soon as he started prepping and getting everything ready, and you could see her starting to get a little edgy and start, something something was going on, and it got black. Car alarms started going off down the street. I mean, it was wild. It was some wicked stuff. That we saw with that case. I mean, we could do a 5-hour show on just that case alone. It was just, and so we were filmed for the episode, but because it was so long and there was so much, our segment got pulled out, which was fine, because it was not about us being on TV. It was about helping the family. And that's why we were reaching out to everybody we could to try to get involved with this. Something that's crazy about this is that, like I said, I had been talking to Father Andrew Calder about this case. And at the time, he was also working with Ryan and them for the cases that they had that was more than just a regular haunting. And it's so wild because we did not put two and two together, but he is who they called in to help, not knowing I had already been talking to him. So when he showed up, of course we're there, we're on scene with everything. I'm like, we saw each other and was like, what are you here? What are you doing? You know, I was like, this is the case I was telling you about. So there was a lot of, God was playing a lot in this too. I mean, there was just putting the people that needed to be there. And like I said, they had no clue we were talking about Father Andrew Calder, and no more than we knew they were. We had no clue. You know, we just knew Chip Coffey was going to be with them. And but we didn't realize that they were bringing him too. So there was a lot of moments too that we saw there was intervention going on from the other side also.
Wow. Now,
So it's on Paranormal State.
Yeah. All you gotta do is look at Paranormal State IM6 on YouTube.
I remember
that
episode too. Yeah.
Well, yeah, and then you had the Joe Schmoes out there that tried to say that it was all fake and it was TV and blah blah. And there was one guy out west, I can't even remember the guy's name now, but it seemed like that's all he did was attack people and stuff. And they ended up going to the town and doing, they were filming around the town and blah blah blah. And I'm like, you weren't there, dude. You didn't. You weren't with this family for almost a year and saw with your own eyes the stuff that was going on. I mean, there was one time where they were in the formal dining room putting a puzzle together, and all of a sudden it was like the puzzle was laying like this. They didn't have it all the way together, but all of a sudden it goes like this and bends up, and then some force grabs her and throws her head into the piano. It's like, what? Because they had a piano right behind them. It literally levitated her up out of the chair and started beating her head into the piano. And they had the marks. They had it on film. It was carving stuff on her. One of the things that did happen that Chip Coffey picked on as soon as he went upstairs, off of her room was a bathroom, and it had a claw tub in it. It was awesome. It was one of the big, nice claw tubs. And at one point she was in there taking a bath, and it decided to attack her and take advantage of her. And nobody knew that. We didn't share that with nobody. And that was one of the first things Chip picked up on when he went into the bath. He was like, oh my God, he's raped her, but take the G away. And nobody knew that except for us and the family. And so when he came downstairs, the father said, how did you know that? Because he's the one that went in. The dad went in, and she was literally under the water. It was trying to drown her. He heard her in there splashing, and he went in, and it took everything in him to pull her up out of the water. And I mean, he had like his foot on the side of the tub and was everything he could to get her out. And when he did get her out, he said they saw this black mass go up across the ceiling, and their attic space. They had one of those low attic spaces on that side of the house where it was a little door you could go in, and you could store some stuff. But that's where it disappeared, was into that area. So like I said, there's tons of stuff that happened. Don't just look at the show and go, oh well, that's just show, or that's for that. No, it was. They were there for 3 days filming, and they had to put because it was so active and there was so much stuff going on. And then we went back.
You guys were there for a year?
Yeah. We had been working with the family. Yeah, we had been working. I had been taking every weekend I had, I would go up there, and sometimes it would be me by myself, and sometimes some of the crew could go. And we just kept trying to get rid of whatever it was, but it just, when we finally figured out that it was something a little bit more, something I had never ever dealt with, obviously. We reached out to everybody. I was consulting with John Zaffis, and like I said, Father Andrew Calder and a couple other priests that were kind of in the paranormal field at the time, because that was just something there wasn't a lot of, there just wasn't a lot there that was doing it. But gotta be careful what you wish for, boys. At that time, I was going through a lot of bad stuff. I had lost my grandfather, and I was angry at God. I was very angry at God. And it was a week before that case fell in my lap. I challenged him. I said, if you're real, prove it. Be careful what you pray for, because what other way than to show somebody that you're real than to show them the bad side of it, and then show the good side that comes out of it. And the good side was she got the help she needed. The family helped. They moved. They had to sell the house, obviously, because people there's too many naysayers out there that think they know what they're talking about, and it brought a lot of negativity. And that was the sad part of it, was that, it was like, why can't you just let it be,
Now, they had to
Yeah.
sell the house. Did whatever was there, was it
Yeah, it got
damaged?
rid of. Yeah, it was gone. Yeah, it got rid of. It was, they never had any more problems after. Well, we went back. They did another episode called The Return of Six. I was there for it. I got Lorraine Warren. They brought her in. Chad, what is Chad's name? Selleck or Chad's? I can't remember Chad's last name, but he was out west. He had a big production company out west and stuff, and he became like a consultant for Paranormal State. They brought him in, but if you just you can search for The Return of Six and see everybody on there. So it was really cool to get to work beside Lorraine Warren and watch her do her thing. That the godmother of paranormal, come on, I mean, who gets that opportunity? And she was so funny. She was like, I got chickens. I had to get a babysitter for them. And she was so cute. I mean, she's this little old lady, and you're like, this lady's been fighting the dirty of the dirty, the evil her whole life, but you would never know it, just sitting there talking to her. And it was a blessing, because she's not with us anymore. So that was,
Right.
there was a lot of I don't want to use the word neat, but it was a very big learning process, and being able to be with those people and see how they did things. It was, I was like a sponge. I took it all. I took advantage of the situation, took it all in, because these were people that I had known about for years, and to be working side by side, I'm humble, like Jason and stuff. It's like, yeah, we do this, but it's not about that, and stuff. But anyway, so I think now it's just, the cases are starting to get more real, and once it's in your blood, you don't want to not do it. I miss it every day. I miss the family of it, because you become a family with your team, and if you've got a good team, it's a good experience. And we at the time, the group was called Kentucky Shadow Chasers, and then we kind of defunct that when we became Commonwealth Paranormal, and it was a big family, and that's what I missed about it. But something that I also say about this case is, when everybody that was involved in this case had a life altering event happen to them. Stacy, that did the interview with her, she was on the way to, we have a battlefield here in Kentucky called Perryville. It was one of the biggest strongholds in Kentucky, because we were a divided state. And we were doing an investigation there, and it's country roads pretty much to get there. And on her way there, she saw some black force came out of nowhere, and it ran her off the road into a wood plank fence, and the fence went right through the windshield and literally grazed her head. It almost killed her. The guy that was in charge of the team, the original team, when we went there the first time, like I said, when we went there the first time, it was called Kentucky Shadow Chasers. And the leader of that, he had a massive heart issue that he didn't know about. And Chip Coffey picked up on that, because after he went through and did his thing, I was like, Chip, it's a wonder none of us have been hurt or nothing's going on with us. And he says, oh, but it is. And I'll never forget that as long as I live. Oh, but it is. He said, you need to think back, because this thing has been attacking and you just probably didn't realize it. Well, when we sat down and started looking at things, sure enough, and he said, there's somebody in your group that's got heart issues. And I had gone and gotten a physical 3 days before we went to film and completely forgot about it. Well, when I got back, my doctor called and said, hey, we got your results back for everything. We need you to come in and go over everything. Well, usually that's bad. Because usually if it's fine, they'll just say, yeah, everything looks good. Your blood's great. Cholesterol's fine, blah, blah, blah.
See you in 6 months.
Yeah, see you in 6 months. Well, no, this was, you need to come in. Well, when I went in, they had found that my heart was twice the size that it should have been. It was having to pump more than it should to get oxygen through my body. And Chip Coffey picked up on that. which was weird because I was just getting to know Chip at the time. Well, after that, I was like a believer. I was like, whatever, you know. And of course, I've worked with him several times after that and different things, and I've seen what he does. I've seen his work, and a lot of people, you know, there are some people out there that are frauds and stuff, but I'm here to tell you, Chip is the real deal. I've seen it too much with my eyes, but yeah. So there was one of the girls that went with us originally. She was our demonologist at the time. She ended up having she got the worst case of shingles that the University of Kentucky Hospital had ever seen. They had to put her in a coma for a month. So it was like
Wow.
we had a scientist with us who was a huge skeptic, and I had no clue. He kind of fell off after this investigation, and it just something told me to get in touch with him and see how he was. Well, he shared with me that after that case, he would be sitting in the kitchen and something would take over him and tell him to grab the knife and go kill his family. I mean, this stuff was going on. So that's why I say be careful what you wish for. Be careful what you walk into, because it's not going to be Disneyland every time. You know, it's not going to be, you know, a poltergeist or a residual or whatever. You know, there are bad things out there, and you know, do what you do. I always tell people, I don't know, you know, whatever your God is or whoever your Buddha, whatever it is, always do a prayer of protection before and always do a prayer of cleansing afterwards. It's not going to hurt, you know, it's not going to hurt you to do it. So it could help you though down the road so that you don't take something home from these places.
Oops.
Yeah. And you know what? I like stories like this only because people need to hear that side of it.
Right.
You know, you hear about the investigation, but you don't hear about things that have possibly affected the lives of everybody that was involved in the investigation well after the fact.
Right.
You know,
right.
Is it directly involved? I mean, who knows?
Right.
But
right. It could be a coincidence. 100%.
And that's the thing. I mean, coincidence with one, coincidence with 4 or 5.
Yeah.
That's when you start thinking,
yeah, something's going on here.
Now I was going to ask you, Chris, like, did you keep in touch with the family like well after all of this, or do you still, or?
I don't. I lost contact with the family. Like I said, it kind of got bad for them. You know, there was just people were treating them like a sideshow, if you will, and would come and, you know, sit outside the house and come and knock on the door. And I mean, it was just crazy. Wow. And the other thing too was, if you watch, I don't talk about the second episode because I was involved with it because I knew there was something going on, and I had got a hold of Ryan and them and said, look, you've got to go back. There's something going on here. And what they found when they went back was that the second time it had been invited back. And that's all I'm going to say about that. Simply because, you know, it's a touchy subject. You know, so to give them their peace and let them go on with their lives, we just kind of pulled away, and it was like a mutual agreement kind of thing, you know, and you know, I hope she's doing good. I hope she's doing well and the family's doing well. They were such an amazing family. They really were. The support was there, man. It was, gosh, I mean, to see what this family had gone through and hear the stories of the mom and the father. And, you know, we split everybody up. This wasn't like it happened where they were feeding off each other and stuff. You know, it was a separate interview on everybody and stuff. And yeah, it was one for the books.
Wow.
Yeah.
Not anything like that so far. And all three of us have put ourselves in some pretty situations.
Stupid situations.
Yeah, we get in trouble all the time for that. But you hear so much in this field about what you can and can't do and all that stuff. I mean, look at Chase with all the Ouija boards around him and stuff.
I know. I know. I get on him all the time about them.
Yeah, but look at the one right behind him on his one side. That's a Jesus board.
I know.
Same thing.
He's silly.
Same thing. But they put a Jesus board on it, and it only contacts good things. Come on now.
No. When you don't know what when you open up that door, you really don't know who's going to come through it. Perfect example. I know it was a movie, but Poltergeist. It kind of shows you that. You know, a door opened, and they thought at first it wasn't something bad, and then the next thing you know, it was bad.
Well, and you say, and I say it all the time, be careful what you wish for, because I actually had an experience, not anything like that at all, but we were called out to Ashtabula at the it's called the Winery, when they were transforming this fifth generation Jewish home into a haunted attraction.
Gotcha.
And there was a lot of things that were happening as they were building these trapdoors and all that shit in this house. So they called us out. We went out actually a bunch of times and was getting some evidence. And that is the one and only time, that I've dealt with a child, I should say. And what I saw at the bottom of these steps, we had up, all night long. Come on, show us, are you here? The whole rigmarole shit that you do, right?
Right.
And what I saw at the base of those steps fucked me up for months. I put all my equipment away. I put everything away. I didn't talk about it. You can ask Tanya. I was done. I was done with it. I had seen some shit. And what I saw was more of like everything was elongated.
Gotcha.
I compare it to like the silly putty that we're all old enough. We had fucking silly putty, and you put it on the paper on the Sunday, and then so you had the cartoons and you could stretch it a little bit so the face would get longer.
Everybody had a Stretch Armstrong.
Yeah,
Stretch Armstrong, though. Come on.
Exactly. So that's what it looked like to me. It wasn't like horror movie thing.
Right.
The hair was matted. It was wet. But just everything was elongated. And I remember thinking, like, you wanted it. You wanted to see it.
Right.
Now you got it. And like I said, I put everything away. I didn't talk to anybody on the team. I didn't talk to anybody. I was done.
My first child I ever caught was in Waverly Hills. I actually have a picture of, you can see it's an outline, and you see it coming out of a room headed towards the nurse's station. That was the very first child I ever caught was there. And man, it does mess you up, bro. When to me, I saw a child, but on film, on camera, it just looks like the outline of a child, right. And it's perfect. I mean, you can tell that's what it is. It's it's a dark figure, but you can see the windowsill above it, so you can see about how tall it is, and it was just a perfect shot that I caught. And there was some crazy stuff that we saw there. There was one time we were there, and we heard a marble rolling down the hall because it's all concrete in there. For the ones that haven't been there, they worked endlessly to get that place cleaned up and so it was safe. But it literally sounded like a ball bearing was rolling down the hallway at us, and we were kind of sitting in the middle of the hall when then you could see the wings that went down each side. So we were kind of in the middle where we could see stuff coming at us. And finally, it started getting closer, and one of the guys that was with us, I guess the anticipation just got to him, and he turns his flashlight on, and he's looking down the hall when we don't see this. We don't see it. We hear it, but we don't see it. And he just happens to turn the flashlight up, and this marble is running across the ceiling, and it drops right down in front of us. And that was a pretty cool experience.
Wow.
Okay.
And there were 5 of us that saw that happen.
And that's the only thing, doing this for a few years, and that's the only thing that actually creeps me out, that actually scares me, is when it's children.
Right.
I don't know why. Well, it's just, to me, that is creepy.
Right. Well, because the evil world uses children to put our guard down, to get us to put our guard down. Yeah. Same thing with a mother figure. Jason, what you saw, contorted. See, they can't form a true apparition. And you'll notice either like the feet will be missing, or like Jason talked, it looked stretched, like it was stretched out and stuff like that. I always tell people, if you see something like that, you saw something, because you're describing exactly what thousands of us have all described that we've seen. It's that distortion. Sometimes it's blurry. Sometimes you can make out some features. There's always something wrong.
I can tell you, I wish.
Human 100%. So there's always, like I said, there's something there that's off.
I wish I could sit down with a sketch artist, because still to this day, I could go into so much detail with the face that I saw. And the other thing that fucked me up was, it seemed like it was 5-10 minutes. what was only probably 3 to 4 seconds
Right.
seemed like minutes.
Right.
And then the cool part about it was I was the only one that saw it. There was 2 other investigators with me. We had just sat down, taken a break, but it ran up the steps. So it saw me, I saw it. We looked at each other. Then it ran up the steps. I have the audio of it running up the steps, and the 2 investigators are saying like, "What the hell was that?" And I remember telling them exactly. You'll never believe me when I tell you. You'll never believe it. And we went upstairs, and there was a recorder at the top of the steps. You could hear it going by the recorder at the top of the steps, and it was not that big. And we were the only 3 people in there.
Right. We I had something similar like that happen at the Villisca Axe Murder House in Iowa. My first time there, we were the IM6 case was going on when we went there, so that probably was not that wasn't the best thing because the first time I went there though we were going up the steps, and if people don't realize what happened there was that the family went to church, they came home. They had 2 friends' daughters that stayed also with them, and in the middle of the night, they were killed by the bludgeon end of an axe. The family, the kids, everybody was killed. It's one of the most horrific unsolved murders in American history.
Right.
As I was going up the steps, something pushed me back down the steps. It was like a force that just hit me in my chest. And this little guy that was on our team, William, he was behind me and literally had to catch me. And we had a digital recorder setting up there also, and you could hear children laughing and feet run away.
Oh.
We also caught in the main bedroom of the kids' main bedroom, we caught, you could hear dripping because when they got killed, the blood pulled and then dripped onto the floor. You could hear that. The closet that's in their room too, it would open and close if they wanted it to. I mean, there were some crazy things. And the cool thing about that house was there was no running water and no electric in the house.
Oh no.
No, they got him.
So you didn't have to worry about pipes. It was the pipe shaking, or
Right.
It was the heat cutting on, or there was this house. When the guy that bought it and redid it, he took it back to its actual what it had been during that time frame, basically. So he didn't want running water and all that in the house because they didn't have it at that time, which is great for an investigator because those are things that can pollute your audio. We know that.
Right.
Nothing like somebody leaving a fluorescent workshop light in a basement on. That the EMF that comes off those things is ridiculous. And if you're standing right above it, your meters are going to be going crazy. And you're like, what the hell? You're in that. If you don't go look, you would leave there going, yeah, we hit a hot spot, man. My things were going off everywhere.
Right.
It was somebody left the damn fluorescent shop light on underneath you, and those things emit. Ceiling fans also. We had one case where this woman could have swore she was seeing demons and stuff in her bush. I shouldn't laugh. But she swore up and down she was seeing these little demons in the bush outside her house and all this stuff. And then we get there. Well, when they built the house, they put the damn breaker box right next to the bed. And the EMF and stuff that was coming off that breaker box was stupid. Then they had a ceiling fan also above the bed. So basically what they were creating was this energy portal, if you will. So no wonder she was seeing crazy stuff because it was messing. It was physically, it was the electricity that was messing with her brain, not ghost.
Yeah, it was kind of like in a cage almost.
Yeah. There's a name for it. That's it. Okay, thank you. That's what I was trying to get at was, because it's a triangle. We all know it usually works in a triangle form, and it was just the perfect setting. The bed set right in the middle of all that energy. And
you know some things, Chris.
What's that?
We do know some things.
Oh yeah, I know you guys. You guys know.
We ain't all dumb. We ain't all
right,
dumb.
Right, exactly. But yeah, so it's crazy times, man. Crazy times, man. But I do miss it. I do miss the events. I miss seeing everybody. That was for 10 years. I did Scarefest, so made a lot of friends, met a lot of people doing that, and it was a hard decision. It was a decision, but I had to make the decision what was right for my family at the time, and that's what we did.
Well, what what the four of us have talked about or whatever that our audience and viewers don't know yet is there may be some things in the works to the four of us maybe work together to do some things here in the near future.
Oh yeah.
See? If Chris
Oh yeah.
So like we always say, guys,
you never know.
Buckle up.
Careful what you ask for.
Maybe some things might happen. Yeah,
it's like Devin,
because there's some really cool places out there that have come since I kind of got, not I don't want to say the term got out of it because I didn't get out of it. I've still been consulting. I've been helping people and stuff, but there's a lot of new locations and stuff that are out there now that I really would love to go see. Be a part of.
The mainstream, the spotlight, and took care of business.
Right.
Yeah.
I got you a place in Wisconsin if you ever want to come out this way.
Hey, I go to
Old Baraboo Inn.
Okay. Yeah,
that's where I'm working now. So
there's a DJ event, a conference that we do up there in Wisconsin. So
Devin asked the question here: it's like, do you put any weight into things like the candle game or anything to communicate with the supernatural?
I think I just saw that. I was reading that on there, but I didn't know if you all took questions or not. But
absolutely,
one of the things that my brother. Paul Browning, God rest his soul. We lost him last year, Halloween. I mean, it couldn't have happened any better because he always said that he was going to die on Halloween. He's going to come back and haunt us all. But he had stage 4 cancer, Paul was one of those people that he didn't have the shows behind him, so nobody gave him the attention that he should have got. He was one of those. He actually wrote a book called Looking Outside the Box. And he was one that did that. He did the candle thing. He did the putting a coin on a piece of paper and having the coin be moved to a circle that's drawn on the piece of paper. He did stuff with ping pong balls. So I think that absolutely that was one of his big things was don't just go in and do one thing. Have several things that you can do, and it can be different team members that do these different things to see what you get out of that. Don't just focus on one. Oh, we're just going to use the ghost box and EMF detectors, or we're just going to go off the stories or whatever. That was one big thing about Paul's legacy that I hope lives on, is that he was all about look outside the box. Don't do what everybody else is doing. So try the candle thing. Try like I said, with the putting a coin on a paper and draw a circle in the middle and have it move. I mean, because you can't refute that. If you catch that happening, you've got paranormal activity going on there. But
see, here's the thing, Chris.
But if you have to be careful.
If you set that stuff up and it doesn't work, well then you don't have any paranoia. You know what I mean? So I think that people are. I just want to turn this on. And I want to see the light blink, and if the light blinks, well, then that means that there's
haunted,
right.
Yeah.
No, you got to take a lot of things
correct
from that, and a lot of it we do is the debunking. If you're not debunking, you're not doing yourself justice or the family justice, because it's not all going to be paranormal, and you need to figure out where the dividing line is, and you can't just base it off an EMF detector or the candle or whatever, things like that. You just got to be real careful though, because like I said, you can open up doors that will allow other things in. Not all the time, obviously, like Jay and everybody said, you guys hadn't witnessed that. Yeah, I'm surprised Jay didn't see it at the school. Jesus, every time I went there, that's all I saw was crazy shit in that basement. Woo.
I saw some things there, but by definition for me, it was paranormal, but nothing that I thought was absolutely something that would define something being a haunting. And I still can't define what a ghost is because we don't really know what it is. We have our speculations on what we believe it is, but that doesn't mean that's what is proven. So,
oh yeah, no,
I've seen shadow figure there. I chased one. I thought somebody was in the building, and I chased him through the building. There wasn't there. I mean, it's for as fast as my chunky ass could run. I chased him.
Right.
But so I mean, I've had experiences other places, but I still haven't had that. And like I said, Chris, I do things differently. I tell them that they can hit me, kick me, scratch me, push me, channel through me, possess me.
Oh, yeah.
I've had nothing happen to me yet, and maybe it's because I'm double protected because God protects idiots and fools.
Well, you never know, Jay. They got in there and they went, "Oh, fuck this! Nope, nope, I'm out."
It's like he's got enough personalities in here. He don't need me in here too. He's screwed up.
Could have been the smell. I mean, who knows?
I take a shower.
Yeah, Devin brings up another point. He says, do you think the act of reaching out or being open to it makes you more susceptible to those results? And yeah, it could be. They may be looking at Jay that he's a smart arse, and like, we're not even gonna mess with this guy. But this guy over here who seems to be a little bit more open, and two, they know. Let me tell you right now, that's why a lot of times when people do investigations with me, something happens, because once you've crossed that threshold, you're marked for life. They know you've been on the other side, that you've dealt with something, you've seen something. It's like you're marked. And it's funny, when I used to do paranormal events and stuff, everything that I was a part of where there was an investigation, I always sold out, because everybody knew something was going to happen if you were with me. And it did. I'm almost on cue, but it wasn't because I was drumming up something or that, something was being faked. It was just simple. I was marked. They knew that I had been on the other side, and a lot of them would come through because you got to also there's a lot of what I call souls that are trapped. It could be unfinished business. It could be a sudden death. They weren't ready to die. Could have been an accident and their life was taken. And so I feel personally because I am a religious person, a Christian and stuff, and is that sometimes I think souls can get stuck sometimes where they won't let go so they can cross over. And I actually saw a crossover happen once in my life. We were at this place outside of Pittsburgh, PA. It was this house was also a hotel, and it was the main line that like Washington, his soldiers used. And I mean, it was like there's a lot of history at this place. And we were up doing a ghost box session, and this is when this was the white radio, the original ghost box that I still use to this day. I don't use none of the other crap, because there's no other funky buttons and stuff that can cause anything. It's straight up, that's what it is. Either you hear something or you don't. And Carl, the twins, the guys that worked with Taps,
Johnson?
Yes. He was there at the event, but we didn't know he was there yet, because I guess their plane had came in late or something. But anyway, we had already started the investigations, and we had people on different floors, and then the rooms were it was a building that was add on to the main house. So it was really cool how we were all split up. But in the ghost box, it said, it came through plain as day and said, Carl. And we're like, Carl who? And it said, Carl Johnson. And we're like, that's weird, because he was supposed to be there that weekend, but he hadn't got there yet. And the spirit came through and said, it kept demanding that we get him. And I'm like, but he's not here yet. That's when me and the other guy that was part of this were like, but he's not here. What do we do? And finally I was like, let me step out. And I went out in the hallway and I said, is Carl here by chance? And I shit you not, 2 minutes before that him and his wife had just walked in. And so we brought him up there, and sure enough, it talked. I mean, they carried on a conversation, and he crossed the spirit over in front of all of us. And I'm telling you, it was the most surreal, calming, I can't even describe it, that came over. Like that, you just tingled. Like you could tell that what was there was no longer there anymore. And that it was neat. It was neat to see that, to be a part of that. So, like I said, there are good things just as much as there are bad things. You just got to find that middle road, or what you're comfortable with,
Well, see, and here's the thing. Jay talks about, because Jay and I for a while had let our guard down and opened up and whatever, and I still am. I never closed it. Jay closed it because he came in from the house one day and was in his kitchen or whatever and was making some shit and turned around and saw some guy standing in the fucking
we had been sitting outside out back around a little bonfire and stuff. Mm-hmm. And I come in to take a piss and get another beer and stuff. And there was I could see it was a person, but it wasn't a person. And it was somebody I didn't know. I still describe what they were wearing and the whole looks of them and everything else. So I walk into the bathroom and use the bathroom, wash my hands, come out, grab another beer. They're still standing there, and I walk outside. And I tell my son, I said, because his room's on that end of the house. I said, dude, there's a blonde-haired guy and tan slacks and white long sleeve button down, long straight blonde hair down to about his shoulder stuff, and they're down by your room. He goes, there's somebody in the house. I'm like, well, there's somebody in the house, but they're not in the house. He goes, what are you gonna do about it? I said, not my problem. You're into the house. I said, here. They're down by your room,
not my problem.
Room.
Get your into the house, right? I'm gonna go back out here to the fire and burn some marshmallows.
So I'm like, but, if this is I don't want to see things, but I wanted to experience things, but I didn't shut it down because it freaked me out, anything like that. I'm just like, look, man, I got enough dumb shit going on in my head. I don't need theirs too. Just stop. I don't need you in here on this. Now, when we're investigating something like that, I'm there for that experience, and I want that. But now you're at the house. I got Teresa that does psychic shit. I don't need me being psychotic too.
Right.
Crazy people in the house.
And see, we had Joe into the Collingwood, and Joe had, he was, doing his thing and wasn't really much in the paranormal. Obviously had done it for years, but
yeah.
So brought him into the Collingwood, and we were doing some shit, and he wandered off on his own, and he came back. I don't know, about an hour later, he was like, "Dude, I'm back. This mother up on this floor," and I'll let him tell his story, man. But it's those kinds of things. It's that kind of stuff that I love to hear. I love to hear all the stories that people experience, because
it's funny, all the places that I've been in, even when we were at the Villisca Axe Murder House the second time, and that was the episode that aired on Ghost Adventures. They had me come out and do a consult because I had been attacked there. And this was the second investigation that I had been there with. And we were there. Johnny Hauser's a great friend of mine who runs the house.
Yeah, Johnny's a good dude.
We were there with his wife, Lish, and she didn't do this whole paranormal thing. She wasn't into it. She was afraid of it. She's like, I won't have nothing to do with it. Well, we conned her in to doing this investigation that night in the house. We're like, oh, you'll be fine. We'll do a prayer of protection, blah, blah, blah. So we're using, like I said, the original ghost box, and we're in there. There's no electricity. There's no power. And so it's all battery powered stuff that we're using. And we started noticing batteries starting to drain. Anyway, we're on the ghost box, and I go, and something came through, and I forget how I said it now, but I was like, who are you? Tell us who you are. And we didn't realize it. We didn't hear it with our ears. I said it 3 times. Who are you? And on digital recorder, we got Reverend Kelly. Well, if anybody knows anything about the house, there was one person that they went after, and was a traveling priest or minister, whatever, and that's who the family had actually went and seen that night at church. It was a revival. He was a revival preacher, and he admitted that he'd done it. And it was crazy, some stuff, but it found out he wasn't guilty at all. He was just crazy. But it was wild that was the first name that came through was Reverend Kelly. Well, so I'm kind of at this point, I'm kind of being a little forceful, and I'm like, I go, in the name of Jesus Christ, I demand you to tell me who you are. And it said Legion, plain as day. And I said, nope, we're done. I said, at this point, we're done. Anybody that's come through, you're not allowed to stay here. I'm cleansing you through the veil of God. You have to go away. And I got up and took off. And if you've ever been at that time, in the early time, they had a ramp that came out the back door. And that was the door you used. You never really went through the front door. Everybody always came through the back, because that's where they had a barn right there out the back door. That's where you could set up your cameras and stuff, was in there, because that's where they had power. But I got to halfway down into that ramp, and it was like somebody was standing there and took a baseball bat and just cracked me right across the chest. And I went down to my knee. They came out. I was trying to catch my breath. I was breathing crazy, trying to catch my breath. And I go, my back's on fire. My back is on fire. And it really felt like my shirt was on fire. And they pulled it up, and I had marks down my back and off to the right that did a perfect letter L. And it's on the show. If you go watch that, all you gotta do is type in Ghost Hunters Villisca, Iowa, or whatever. It ended up being the #1 episode for the longest time that they did. It was the episode that fans wanted to bring back, wanted to see more and more of. But I relate that to, because at that time in the background, we had been dealing with the Laura case, the Item 6 case, which we knew then who was the demon that we dealt with there was Legion. And that's why I'm saying, that was one of the things that, Bishop Long had told me, and some of the other priests, was that, once you're marked, you're marked. And, you were there, and you you were in a place where something really bad happened to these children, to this family, and God knows what kind of craziness is there, and it doesn't work on cue. There's people that's gone there and investigated and got nothing. And then, like I said, every time, the 2 times, I'd never investigated that house after that. I stayed with Johnny next door. He lives in the house next door where the neighbor that actually found the family dead lived. And but I never went back and investigated that house. I was like, no, I'm done. I had my I've had my fun with it.
Devin had another question here. Said, with being a part of exorcisms or more aggressive spirits, if a part of the cleansing or blessing process gets disturbed by an outside force, do you have to start the entire process over or continue from that point on?
You continue on. The big thing is you ignore it the best you can, and then you fight it the rest of the way, because it's not wanting you to do that. It's not wanting you to cleanse the house. It's not wanting a priest to do the exorcism, because once that happens, it knows it's going to lose what it's attached itself to. So you just, that's one thing that's been represented in the movies about Lorraine and Ed Warren, the early ones. Like the first Annabelle, whatever, when he's doing the exorcism on the girl in the basement at the house, and the mom, it was the mom, and either the chair levitates, it flips her around. I mean, that I wasn't there, but that's all in their paperwork. Some of that obviously was for Hollywood, but the most of it wasn't. I mean, it was trying to stop him from doing the exorcism on her the whole time. There was other forces in that house that were trying to keep them from being able to do that.
Hell yeah.
Wow. So, I try not to stick my foot in that stuff, the bad stuff anymore. But like I said, it's in the back of my mind. I know it can pop up anytime, because once you're marked, you're marked. And
Right.
that was something that I took on, and it's something I'll live with the rest of my life. And that was there was so much going on, man. And I was in, my mind was not where it needed to be. It was, people described me as a monster during that time, and that's hard to say for me, because I'm the first guy to give you my shirt off my back and my last dollar, and for someone to say you were kind of a monster during that time, that was hard to swallow. And then you lose your family, and you go through nasty divorces, and Devin, you just keep doing it. If it doesn't work, you got to keep doing it, and eventually either it will work, or the demonic entity will kill the person. And Michelle Elise, the case that happened over in London with her, that's a perfect example. Her parents were charged for neglect, because they said that they had starved her and everything. And if it wouldn't have been for the fact that the church was involved and had documented her from where she looked normal to where at the end, this girl was in her early teen or late teens, early 20s, whatever, and looked like she was 90 years old when she finally died. And it just, her body couldn't take no more. It was just constantly being attacked, even though they would go in and cleanse. But the demonic entity that had her was probably one of the worst ones that's been recorded in history, I would say, that I know of, at least.
Wow.
So it's there. It's there, and thank God not everybody deals with that. That people don't see that, because I'm telling you, I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy.
I've been asked before if I ever went to some place and actually found a demon, what would I do? And I probably said, I'd probably get the hell out of there and call somebody that can do something about it, because I'm not a priest. I'm not a bishop. I'm not a clergy of any type, of any religion, anything like that.
Right.
I'm a smart ass.
Yeah. Right.
I can do it here to help you.
And I've always said, I always want to, and I gotta be careful how I say this, like,
say it.
I want to experience, but obviously not be involved. Like, I don't want to be.
You want to see it, but you don't want to be a part of it.
Hand me a camera. I'll sit there and I'll be a camera guy or something.
Right.
Because that is something that I'm not a big believer in personally.
Right. Oh yeah, no,
but
that's fine, man.
But I wasn't. Like I said, I wasn't a big believer in the paranormal.
Yeah.
And so
I feel you.
And I hate to say that, because it's like you're kind of saying that because you want to see it happen to someone else, unfortunately.
Right.
But I've always wanted to, I guess, learn more about it.
Right.
Hopefully no one gets hurt from, type of thing. But yeah.
Oh yeah, obviously, yeah. And what was really cool is call it cool, whatever it was. I also started looking into other religions and stuff too. So it wasn't just seeing things from the Catholic side or the Christian side or the Buddha side or the, even the pagan side. There was, you've got to know a little bit about all of those because you just don't know what you're walking into. Not everybody's going to be, your blue collar American family, so you've got to kind of be a little diverse and understand different things. One of the things with the IM6 case, in her closet, there was scribbling that had been carved into the floor. And that was one of the stories that they shared, was that the mom and her were sitting on the bed and they heard it. And when they opened the closet door, in the floor, there was something that was scribed into the floor. At the time, we didn't realize what it was, but it come to find out, thanks to, I think it was Heather. She does the show now, not Heather. Oh my God, I can't think of her name anyway. She does the show with Jack Osborne now, but she was one of the original members of Paranormal State, but awesome person, by the way. She found out that the scripture was in German. And what was crazy about it was the person that built the house was German. So, like I said, there were some things there where we didn't know 100% sure because we could see it other ways. But what ended up being, what came of that was basically the demon had scratched into the floor that it was his house, that this is my house, in German, in the floor, scratched it in the floor. And the meaning was, this is my house, or this is mine. You can't have it. That this was its domain, and that you were in it, basically. So. But
well,
yeah,
and I think a lot of times too, there's a fine line between possession and mental illness.
Oh yeah, 100%.
And that's
100%. And that's part of the questioning. When you're doing your questioning and stuff, that's things you need to find out. What medicines are you on? Have you been diagnosed with schizophrenia or bipolarness, or things like that? It's always good to have somebody part of your team that we had a nurse that was part of our team, and then we also had a medic, military medic also that was part of our team. And that was what they did. That was their part of the interviewing whoever we were with, was to find those things out, because if they're on Xannies and all this stuff, well, yeah, no wonder you're seeing crazy stuff going on in your house or whatever.
Recreational medications and recreational,
right, or any recreational drugs. Yeah, I mean, those were things. Those are questions that sometimes, right, and sometimes that's hard questions to ask people, but you need to know. That's part of debunking what's going on.
We were still doing residentials. One of the things I did in my case that I always made part of my equipment was a portable CO2 detector. We actually had it go off one time because and the gas water heater in the basement was actually leaking. It was actually almost at a fatal state. So they were getting CO2 poisoning. So their nausea and hallucinations and all that stuff.
Yeah.
From CO2 poisoning. But a lot of people don't look at those things. Well, like we said earlier with EMF, there's so many natural things and mechanical things that can happen in a home that can create all these situations. So that's what you really have to be due diligence on it.
Yep, you do. You can't just go in based off what they tell you,
and
because you're going to fail if you do. It's good to know those stories and have some background to it, but what you need to do is figure out, okay, they said this happened in this room. Let's see if there's anything that we could debunk. And it's funny that you said that. We had a house in Western Kentucky that we investigated, and the guy, I don't know why he did this or whatever, but up under their unit was built underneath the house, which was weird. But anyway, he had stored a bunch of paint thinner and paint cans and stuff on top of the return underneath the house. And those, over time, those had started deteriorating, and he was sucking the fumes in the house through that. So that was with the house with the fear cage. So we had that being drawn into the air vents, and then the electrical boxes and ceiling fan and stuff that were putting astronomical numbers off of them. It just all came together and caused hallucinations because of the fumes, the dizziness, and then the electrical end of it, the EMF end of it was causing sickness and all that stuff too. So they swore up and down that the house was haunted, that there was something there. And
there was something there. It was
but it wasn't haunting.
Right.
It wasn't haunting.
But I was going with that is that having a diversity of a team that has a diverse knowledge. There are no experts in the paranormal. There are no paranormal experts, but there are experts in the paranormal. You have a plumber, you have electricians, you have a chemist, you have all these people that are experts, but there's no paranormal experts, but there are experts in the paranormal field that can take that and use that field and that knowledge base to debunk these things and give it and find out what's really truly going on, or what's not explainable, and go from that direction. And to have a wide, diverse team like you're talking about with the medics and the paramedics and all that gives people such a different stance to what a lot of teams have nowadays. They don't. I don't think a lot of the teams nowadays have that diversity. They have. I've seen on TV. They don't. They don't play.
And that was one of the things that I wanted to make sure with our team was we did have that diversity. I wanted a 100% full skeptic. I wanted a nurse. I wanted, because I knew the nurse would know all the drugs that we would find in these homes. If we open up the medicine cabinet and there's, oh no, I don't take anything. You open the medicine cabinet and there's all this medicine. It's like, somebody's taking, and some of it we know we're aware of just because of common sense. But then there's some that you don't know, and there's generic versions of the real stuff that you don't know that name of. So it's always good. I always tell everybody, the more diverse your team is, the more real it's going to be when you do encounter something.
This whole show tonight is tripping me out. No, and it is, because I don't know how many times, Chris, tonight you've said the word debunk, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
What I have noticed since I have been back, and I mean, I work at a haunted location. Back in the day when you and I did this, that was a big key part of, if you can explain away 4 out of 5 things, you know what I mean?
It's a bit, my thing was, if it's not normal, it's paranormal. That was like my thing. If I could not, but I would go to the end of the earth to make sure that it wasn't paranormal first.
Yeah.
Like you said.
And what I've noticed a lot, and I'm not going to say everyone and everywhere, but a lot more than what it used to be, is I see people have gotten away from that.
Oh yeah.
Now, like Jason, I think, mentioned earlier about, man, it's all about, is that meter going to light up?
Right.
And sure, because now it's all about evidence.
Yeah.
Now it's all we were here and the meter went off, and now we talk about this weekly. Content creators, man, we're creating content. We've got to have. So if I can get this light to go off and I can do all this shit and I can get 1 million views on this and whatever, that's all that matters.
And see, that was the other thing. That's what I was seeing.
But you're doing a disservice. Right. You're doing a disservice to the whole paranormal thing. If that's what you want to do, then fine, go out and do it.
There'll be a content creator made for entertainment.
Right. Yeah. But let the people that are actually trying to do it and get answers and figure shit out, let us do it that way.
Help the families that are dealing with this stuff. Because like I said, that's the big thing is, it's all about streams and likes and points and stuff. And that's great. You get to leave and go home. You get to go to your safe place, your bed. But that family is now probably dealing with something worse than they were, because you went in there and stirred the pot and you've left them holding the bag.
There is stirring the pot.
Right? I'm just saying.
I do miss doing residentials from one aspect, because of the way they did become the Dog and Pony Show. Because I'm telling you right now, man, the last one that we did with Lee and stuff, me and Jason and Teresa and Lee and a couple others, we went down to East Ohio, and the family was there, but they had homemade venison meatballs, and they had a spread of.
It was a spread, dude. We ate well.
Oh yeah, they had chicken and dumplings, and that's what it became. You show up these places, and they may have their whole family there, and they want to have a TV experience, and I'm like, okay, it's Dog and Pony Show time. But they always fed us because we don't take payment.
Right. And you know what pissed me off about that one, and I'll just say it like this, and they're not going to watch it. And the family was great. The family was whatever, and they called us to go down. And it was they wanted it documented. So I took everything. We took the cameras, we took all the stuff. I set up interviews, we set up talks amongst the team, we set up camera angles, we set up all this kind of stuff. Had everybody sign a release. That very next day, after we got done filming, And after we got done doing all that stuff, the family had contacted Lee and said, "Yeah, we don't want any of that. We don't."
And why is that? Because we didn't experience anything that they had. We could debunk every one of their claims and had none of the experiences they were claiming. I guarantee they found another team that's on what they wanted to hear.
Right.
Correct.
On what
modern team.
Yep.
Correct.
Yep.
So that
was one of the big things that I was starting to see was that you would go into these houses and you would prove that there was nothing there, and then all of a sudden this team would come in and they find all this stuff, and you're like, bro, there's
tell you about how your team sucks and you're all full of shit. You don't know what you're doing.
Right. Exactly. And again, all you're doing is feeding that family, and it's not going to be good for anybody in the long run. And you can always tell because they get defensive and start getting angry when you start debunking stuff. That's when you know that family does not have you there to help them, that there is something underlining that's going on there.
And you know what? I truly believe that they actually wanted us to be there to find stuff. Oh, yeah. Like I said, they were a great family and they fed us well, and they start talking about things in the basement, and we were all down there. I'm like, well, that noise is coming from here, and that's probably that. Oh, well, but it's this too. Well,
remember the freezer? They said they felt weird back in that one room. The freezer was giving off, an old bench freezer was giving off extremely high
old refrigerated.
Oh yeah, I mean it was
like 120, 130 on the EMF meter.
Yeah, like I said, and there was a couple of things that we experienced there, but it wasn't to the magnitude that they were looking for.
Right,
and
that's Devin. I'm sorry, I thought you were done.
No,
Devin,
that's my son. We can if he whatever.
Whatever. I don't know. Just to say, I don't know much about the cryptid side of things. I do know people that are into that. And that's a whole nother beast of itself. I mean, I've been in the National Boone Forest here in Kentucky, where there's been several sightings of Bigfoot, and we've been out there. I've gone out with people, and I'm like, you're ghost hunters. You're just looking for things that I don't want to meet that can really hurt you in real life. Right. If I ever run into this,
I'm a little guy. I don't want to find something like that in the woods.
Right. No. I want to be you. I want to be you when it comes to that. I want to sit back and watch it happen, but I don't want to be involved.
Right.
With
yep. give me the camera from 40 feet.
Yeah, that's right. I'll be up in a deer stand in a heartbeat with some cameras. But I don't want to.
Fucking Chris would be like, oh, crikey, look at it. Just tearing Joe to pieces down there.
You know what?
Like Jason, he ripped his arm off and beat him upside the head.
Run, Joe, run.
Yeah, he can't run. His legs are gone. Oh.
Jason, I want to commission a shirt right now, and I will pay for it. I want you to send it to Joe. I want to have it say Bigfoot bait.
There you go. Bigfoot bait. That's a good one.
You know what?
I'm a little guy.
That's the
same thing as Paranormal Crash Test Dummy.
The Mothman. I've been to Point Pleasant, West Virginia. I love that town. We actually investigated the main hotel that's down on Main Street, and we stayed in it, and it's like lost in time back then. I mean, it was like the room looked like something straight out of the 50s or the 60s. I haven't been there in like I said, it's been years, but we got lucky and were able to investigate that hotel. And we found, oh man, that place was livid. It was crazy. Funny story though, there was probably 10 of us, and we were in the back hallways that are closed off, and this is where they had a lot of stuff happen. And it was a hallway with rooms on either side, so the doors were open. And we go. I'm coming down the hallway. I'm in the lead, and I turn and I look into this room. And when I scanned, the bed was over here when you walked in. So you walked in here, and the bed was here, and the sink, the closet. But when I turned and looked, it looked like there was a body laying in the bed. And I jumped and screamed like a little girl. I ain't afraid to admit it, because it was so intense. And I turned around and said, "Oh shit!" And it was like pushing everybody out behind me. Go, there's somebody in the bed. There's somebody in the bed. And so we go down a little bit of the hallway. There's a door that takes you out into the main area on the second floor. I think it was the second floor, second or third floor. And we got our composures back on, and they were like, "What happened? What happened?" I said, "There's somebody in there in that bed. They're rolled up in the blankets." And they were like, "Nuh-uh." And they went and checked, and be damn sure if they didn't come out and go, "There's somebody in that bed." Well, come to find out, it was whoever had laid in that bed last. They had rolled the covers over, and it looked like a body was there. Right. But I'm telling you what, man, when it's tense and you're in these places, you're trying not to be scared, obviously, but when you scan a room with a little flashlight and there's a body, what looks like a body, laying in a bed that shouldn't be there, it's going to make. Now, I'm going to tell you, the only place that I've ever felt fear, like real fear, one was at Waverly Hills, and they talk about Big Black. And Big Black is this shadow that will come down the hallway at you on the 3rd or 4th floor, and it literally swallows all the light as it's coming towards you. I was with a team at that time. Chris Maggard and his team were there, and they had built this huge, basically fear box, and we had it running, and it drummed up some crazy stuff. I mean, it was wild, but I had gone up there to make sure nobody was there. We were done. Everybody had gone back down to where the gift shop and stuff was. And I had done a lot of stuff there. So I would walk around in there without flashlight all the time because I knew the building like the back of my hand. I lived literally at the bottom of the hill. So I was, like I said, there a lot. And I was up on the 3rd floor, making sure nobody was in the building, letting everybody know, hey, we're done. Let's go and come back. And I was coming down the hallway, and it was kind of in that middle point. Because if you've ever been to Waverly, in the old days, there was a nurse station that kind of met in the middle, and then the wings go off to the side. And I got into that station, and I turned and looked, and the light started disappearing, and all I could see was this black mass. I'm not gonna lie, I wasn't playing around because there's bad stories that are tied to that. And you just get this overwhelming feeling of dread and danger. Like your body goes flight fear. I mean, it does it without you thinking. And I got out of there pretty quick. And it sucked because I was by myself. There was nobody there. Something happened. Nobody would, God knows how long it would found me or whatever. But, I don't want to know what it's going to happen. I don't want it to touch me. I don't want it to reach me, So that was one thing. And then the Rhodes Hotel. I think you guys have been there.
Yeah, that's
that is the only. That's the only time. That's the only place that really, like, we stayed the night there, and I don't think I slept at all that night. And what had happened was,
then we should all go back.
Right. I mean, literally, dude. I slept in a room with somebody else because I was terrified. Like, I couldn't.
You can sleep with me.
What
man.
happened?
Okay.
What happened there, man, was crazy. But what we had found out was the week before us, and I'm not going to say their name because one of them has passed during COVID. But it was a group that came in there of women, and they were doing stuff they shouldn't have been, and they drummed up some nasty stuff because there's some bad stuff that's happened. When you go up the steps, the first room to the right, that's where the woman was killed by the guy. And then at the end of the hallway to the left, they used to have a Jesus picture in there on the wall. We called it the Jesus room, but it's at the very end of the hallway, and it's on the left if you're walking down the hallway.
That's the old pastor, a preacher's room.
Yeah, well, that was the room that they were in, and they had been doing stuff they shouldn't have been doing. And the owners,
I know who you're talking about. I don't remember when this happened.
Yeah, and the owners asked us to come in and cleanse it because a lot of bad stuff started happening after they left. And they didn't want that. They didn't want that to be a part of the haunt. They wanted it to be more of a safer place.
Gail was afraid of the place after that.
Obviously. But I'm telling you what, man, the energy that weekend was so raw and just, I mean, everybody was kind of freaking out. Everybody.
It wasn't too long after you guys were there. She had David Spinks and David Weatherly coming here. David Spinks ended with almost all the dolls.
Yeah. There was some crazy stuff going on, and I cleansed that house 3 times that weekend before we left. And I told her, I said, I don't know if this worked or not. But I'm telling you, whatever they drummed up, you could just feel it. Like you just could. And that's so hard to explain to somebody, but you could just feel the dread and the anger of the house. And it was pissed. It was pissed off.
Me and Tracy stayed there quite a bit because we used to be real good friends with Gail when she still owned it. We go there at least twice a month and stay up there.
Right. That's what I'm saying. I loved it the first time I went, but that's when we went that second time, and they had us come in because they needed the place. And Chris Maggart and his team was with us. We went there and we were filming for an episode. And that was unknown. Yeah. Yep. And we were on Roku. And
I filmed with them several times too.
That house, I'm telling you, what they drummed up in that house. That was the first time I had stayed in haunted places in Gettysburg, Waverly Hills, the Axe Murder House, places like that.
Middletown.
I never felt scared. Yeah, I never felt scared while I was there. But there, I'm telling you, I was looking over my show. I mean, where I ended up sleeping, there was a door here, and it was the front room to the front room to the left. There's two big rooms up there. But the one, well, I guess if you're coming,
that's why you feel comfortable.
And you turn, it's the room right there to the right. Yeah, that was the safest room I felt because the bed, it was kind of in the corner, so you could see the door into the hallway, the door that went through into I don't know if it was another room or a bathroom or something right there, and then you could see the door that went out onto the front porch. And
was that the room we put you in, Joe?
Yeah,
I set up, dude, and was like, that was the safest room I felt was in that house was that room right there because I could see every door.
We were there. We put Joe in if you go up the stairs and then turn and go towards the front of the house, the very room on the left, the prostitute's room, we put Joe in there in isolation with nothing but a camera. And then we took one of my son's friends, and if you go to the stairs, you go to the very first room on the right, that's where all the dolls were at.
Yeah.
We put him in there, and he hates dolls. We stuck him in there with all the dolls.
I don't do dolls and clowns.
Just him and the camera, and put him on tape for about an hour.
Right. I walked in that room and said, nope.
I can tell you that is the one and only place that Tanya has ever stayed the night with me in a haunted location overnight.
Wow. Like I said, it was a great place until, I hope that it eventually calmed down, but I don't know exactly because I know some of the stories that they said happened to them in that house, and there was some major stuff going on in that room. There at the end of the hallway on the left, the Jesus room, like the picture turned upside down. There was a cross that spun upside down on the wall and fell to the floor. I'm like, well, you go in there and you start messing with this crap. That's what's going to happen, and those are the times, I love people and I love what they do, but it's just like sometimes they don't think, I guess. I don't know.
I'm not going to say a word. Because there was some bad blood towards the end with Teresa and a couple of them and stuff.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, I don't know.
And like I said, one of them passed away
from whatever, but
one of them passed away, and it's the past. I don't hold grudges.
Right.
They may still hold grudges against me, and that's on them. I wish them all the best, and I feel sorry for the loss and stuff. So moving on.
Oh yeah,
right.
Absolutely.
Moving on.
Hey, Chris, do me a favor, brother.
Yep.
Will you come back on the show?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
All right,
this was fun.
Because we're gonna keep talking and talking and talking. And
yeah,
I know we gotta end this tonight, but let's bring you back, brother.
Jay and Jason are old, so they gotta go to bed.
Shut up.
But brother, I'm just saying, I love you, man, and we've known each other we've known each other forever. So
it was
definitely
good to see you again, Chris.
Oh yeah, good to see you guys.
It's been a lot of years.
Heck yeah, it's good to see y'all and talk to you and everything. But y'all stay safe out there and be good.
You too. I'll let you later. We're gonna bring you back on here soon. I'll touch base with you, and because cool. There's still we still got to talk about. We have a lot of things to talk about, brother. So hey, just do me a favor. Just do me a favor and leave my cabinet alone behind you.
Oh, do you see that?
Yeah, I see that some
Hold on.
Yeah,
that's my bourbon collection.
I was just there 2 months ago?
Yeah, 2 months ago.
Yeah. Look at that son of a bitch. Woo!
How many people have got a bottle of Ghostbusters bourbon? Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
It's all my prettiness.
Yeah,
I know. Jason has just got me into bourbon.
Yeah.
So.
Oh yeah, got my this right. These are bottles that are hard to get. Some got my Ghostbusters Stay Puft Marshmallows up in here. This is my barrel. It's actually got bourbon in it, and then. Buffalo
but see, here's what I love. I was on my way down to film Florida. Chris said, "Dude, just stay with me, man." So I stayed the night with my brother, and we sat up. For a couple hours just talking and
only
having a couple. Yeah. He had to get up and do our show. And
I had a show that next day.
That was the night that I met you and Teresa for dinner. And then went and stayed
all freaking night. Call me a sissy.
Well, I was trying to keep him up all night, but he had a car show and I had to get on the road. But that's the other thing I love about him, and it's kind of like me. If it's in there, drink it. It doesn't matter what the fuck it is. He's got bourbon in there. Crack it open, man. You want to try it?
Yeah, Jason just recently got me into the bourbon. So
yeah, it's hard not to be in.
I like going to Jason's house.
I've been in the nightclub industry for 20 years and dealt with liquor, obviously, for a long time. And being in Kentucky, it's kind of hard not to like bourbon. So
right.
I like the stuff that's not in them bottles that you get back in the hills.
Oh yeah, I got that too.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that another time.
Yep.
Well, that's it. We say goodnight, and we'll catch you on another time.
Yep. All right, guys.
Thank you, brother.
Thanks, man.
Take care. Have a
love
good
you, bro.
Man.
Love you, bro.
Y'all have a good night, man. We appreciate you joining us tonight. We'll have Chris back on next week. Jason, who we got?
We're gonna have Eric, who runs the
Bigfoot. How you say his last name?
I can't, and he knows, and I'm not being disrespectful, Eric. He knows I can't say his last name to save my life. And that's why you did that to me, and I appreciate it, and that's fun. But he runs the Bigfoot, Bigfoot and Brews in Dowagak, Michigan. And rumor has it he's got LEP Productions coming, and Bodine the Bigfoot will be making his one of his appearances in September in Dowagak. So we'll have Eric on. He also runs a fantastic podcast.
Oh yeah.
And you guys will enjoy him as well. We're going to try to start having some guests here for you guys, bring a little bit of different things in. We're going to start the show and then end the show. But if you guys have anybody, if you want to be on the show, if you have something you want to talk about, reach out to one of the three of us. Let us know. We'll get you on here. We won't say no.
Get something worked out.
We'll bring you on and we'll talk. So you guys are fantastic. Hopefully making Tuesdays funny again. This one was a little bit more intense, a little bit more
serious.
Yeah. And it was nice. It was nice. It was I enjoyed the show.
I haven't seen Chris in I couldn't even tell you how many years. So it was kind of cool kind of cool to talk to him a little bit. So hopefully there'll be more to come.
Oh, absolutely. And like we said earlier, there's talks between the four of us to do a little filming,
adventure,
a little filming to get a little something back. So yeah, I've like I said, I've known Chris for a long time. He married my daughter and son-in-law. He did that whole thing. He came into DJ with his son Chamberlain. It was also with Bradford's wedding. He was there with Johnny Hauser and all those guys. So yeah, I always usually just go down maybe once a year and see him. And I
heard was go down.
I go down and then
anyway.
Yeah.
Well, that says we're gonna put the show down. Y'all have a great night. Thanks for joining us. Y'all have a good night. We'll see you next week. And we're